Shadow on the wall that looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarms setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Mike calling. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. That's right. Go get 'em, boys.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to PEMA TV.
Welcome to Friday, January 27th, 2012. This month is pretty much done with.
Yeah, it's flying by. So the more mature I become, the faster they seem to move.
Well, I don't know about mature, but yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, have some really good news network-wise. Got some confirmation on some things today.
And some confirmation the other day.
And some confirmations the other day. Coming very soon. On Wednesday nights is the tentative date. On the alternate weeks that we're not showing Tri-State Paranormal, Shadow Chasers, excuse me. I almost let the cat out of the bag. On Wednesdays when Tri-State Shadow Chasers is on, the alternate Wednesdays, we will now be having Gary Manley and the guys from Nightfall Paranormal in Massachusetts will be on broadcasting their stuff with us. So be sure and tune in on Wednesdays, and then on Wednesdays we'll always still have the serial killer stuff too. But the thing I'm most excited about, because I have a little bit of it
that way, yeah.
myself.
Way to go, Hammer Thor.
Yeah, way to go, Hammer Thor. did get confirmation tonight. PEN will be broadcasting or recording or both from the Full Moon Tattoo and Horror Festival in Nashville. It is on April 6th, 7th, and 8th. The Nashville Convention Center downtown. Should be an absolute blast. It's being put on by Ben and Stacy Dixon. Be sure and check the website. If you everybody to look on the website right now, right above the player in the chat room, there's a little button that says festivals. As soon as I get some artwork and stuff from Ben and Stacy, we will be having them listed there, and you can check it out and find out all the information about it there.
And we were also asked to join pros at the Hales Bar in Southern Tennessee in October for Ghost Hunts for Hunger.
Yep.
It's an all-weekend event to help fill the pantry of the Chattanooga Food Pantry.
Yep. And we always talk about how important it is to give back in the paranormal community. Well, guys, I mean, it's been a really good week.
For the most part.
For the most part.
But we do have some news.
Mia, we're gonna get this after I play this about who we got coming.
Okay, play that first.
Okay. Just so you guys know, we got a special guest tonight, and here's a little something he put together.
We kind of like the guy.
Yeah. And if you couldn't tell from the video, our special guest tonight is Mr. Chris Maggard of Tri-State Paranormal of Northern Kentucky. That's why I almost screwed it up a minute ago. I almost did it.
You almost did, brother. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know I was doing that yet.
But we want to start the show off. We're dedicating it to a handful of our paranormal friends, family, peoples. It's been a rough week for the paranormal. You want to start, Chris?
Yeah, a really huge loss to the community. A wonderful woman, wonderful mother. We lost Dawn Shy. She's done a lot for a lot of people. Again, a great loss. She lost her battle to cancer, and we didn't know. And then we just found out that last night we lost Carl Lawson from Bobby Mackey's. So, you know, everybody please, if you could take a moment and say a prayer to the families. Two great people we lost, definitely.
And on the same lines, but not the same lines, we also have a couple of our friends in the hospital. Aaron Houdini is in the hospital, had a bleeding ulcer, and from what I understand, they think there's some kind of bacteria, but he was having internal bleeding, and they're trying to get that to stop. And Sid Schultz is in ICU. He had neck surgery and needed more, but they're not sure his heart will take it, so send prayers out to both of them too, please.
Amen on that one.
And I have to throw this in after what I went through last year. That's anytime you're in ICU, it's pretty serious. When you finally realize what's going on around you, when the happy stuff wears off, it's scary. So thoughts and prayers to everybody. And
my little footnote, a lot of people in the paranormal community like to argue with each other. Not everybody. There are some of us that actually get along.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But just remember, you know, everybody has a family. This list of people Chris and I just went through, they're still people. They're still friends. They're still family. They still have loved ones.
Absolutely, 100%.
There's no point in arguing. They may not be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's right. We never know when we're going to go.
So
Never
with
know
that,
I'm going to be the next EVP.
right.
Oh, I'm hunting some people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, oh man, there's a whole generation of us that when we go, oh Lord, they better look the hell out.
Oh, yeah, it's game time.
You got it, baby.
They think there's a lot of teams out there now. Well, guess what?
They think they're getting cussed out now.
Just wait, giggity goo.
Exactly.
Exactly goo. What?
Giggity goo.
Yeah, I see how this is gonna
And
go.
it's just coffee, I promise. See, it's just
Sure.
coffee.
This is just water.
Chris, how you been, brother?
Man, I've been good, bro. I've been battling a sinus or flu or cold or something, but I've been doing good, man. I've been a little overworked lately, but you know what? It's well worth it, man. It's well worth it. How about you guys?
Struggling through.
Keep on keeping on.
Yep, that's all you can do.
But the
Yeah.
good part is, every once in
Yeah.
a while, we get to escape our little nest here and meet people like Chris, who we met actually New Year's Eve.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh my God, I can't, man. It was just
Well, that's something I wanted to bring up because not a lot of, unfortunately, and tell me if you disagree with this, but you can separate people involved in the paranormal into two basic groups. One is a group of researchers that are actually trying things. They're trying to figure out the how. They kind of already agree with the fact that something's there. You're
Right.
at least collecting anomalous data from somewhere that you cannot explain. So
Yes, sir.
that's half. And those half are actually doing experiments, trying different things. The
Right.
other half are still dealing with the fact that they're still collecting EVPs. They're still amazed by the fact that there's something there. They're not worried about the how.
right. Exactly. I agree with you.
And unfortunately, I didn't take any pictures. My camera died on me when I went upstairs that night. But I would really like for you, if you could, take a few minutes, explain to our viewers the experiment that we did and how we had it set up, because that was pretty interesting. That was a lot of humanity to be involved in one experiment, but I haven't had a chance to review our data yet. I don't know if you got anything else from that or from the hallway experiment with the lasers that New
Yeah,
Year's Eve night.
actually, we did capture some pretty good stuff. We captured not a lot, I'm going to say. We caught a couple different things. There was a lot of stuff that we did hear that we could explain to either someone's stomach or someone swallowing, because we had different voice recorders all the way down from 20 hertz recording all the way up to 300, 400, 500 hertz. We had different range of levels to record on. And what we did, we spread out these lasers, not the regular grid lasers you see. We take the tips off and shoot beams of lasers with fog. And what we do, we let the fog settle. And we had it running up there for a good hour before we all went up there, the fog and everything. And we let it settle. And the reason why we do that, and then we bring everybody in there and sit down, and once the fog is kind of calmed down, we kind of just observe and just kind of watch to see what happens. Yeah, you're going to get some strange anomalies crossing the beams. You're going to see different fluctuations in the fog, and those are easy to explain. But once in a while, and it's happened only twice, and many times I've done this experiment, but once in a while you'll actually see something that's anomalous, it's unexplainable. And like you were all the way at the other end of a hallway, and you was actually observing shadows breaking the beams, I do believe, towards your end of a hallway.
Yeah, and like when I asked you to come down to see it, I just wanted you to verify that, one, I wasn't nuts,
Right.
because that's come up in the past.
It still
Right.
does.
But I wanted you to see what I was seeing, with the shadow play. Now, some of what was down there, you could associate with just night vision, matrixing, because when you get in that gray area going between your rod and cones on your retina, when you get in that gray area transitioning, that's when
Right.
things can get a little hard to decipher visually.
Right, absolutely.
But like I showed you when you were down there, there's some things that were just, you could understand if it was somebody's head popping out and going back in, but there was stuff that was just barely, like what my hand's doing on the screen right now, there was stuff doing this.
Right.
And as far as I know, there was nobody there with autism that would have been sitting in a doorway.
Well,
So I mean, it was just very difficult to explain what your eyes were seeing.
well, and with the lasers, we had Alex sitting on the chair because she's pregnant with twins,
Yeah.
and she was almost eye level with one of the lasers, and there was a section probably 1.5 feet, 2 foot long, to where you'd watch this little black thing that would go through it, and then it'd disappear and it'd start again. But she was eye level with it, so that's all she could really see.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's not a proven science, but it's an experiment, and we try every different thing to try to break that boundary. Like you said earlier, brother, we know there's something there. What it is, we have no clue what is there, but we are trying to figure out what is there so we can bring more data. And that's a great thing about Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Doug and Cindy opened their doors to so many wonderful people, and like ourselves and everybody else, to conduct experiments, try to help them resolve some of the answers that's going there, and also help some of us researchers to develop more solid data that we can actually bring forth to the community. And then working together with people just like yourself and everybody else, it's amazing. I mean,
Right.
And like my brother Pat says, we were pretty much up for the whole 3 days we're there, except for Jake. He fell asleep during a laser experiment. God bless his heart.
Good out of the gate, just ain't much for stamina.
Well, and another good thing about the hospital is not only, I mean, are they, Doug and Cindy, excellent hosts, but winter, spring, summer, other than slight temperatures, everything is exactly the same. You can go in and run the same experiment once a month for 12 months in a row.
Right.
It's completely repeatable. It's not every time you go back, things are completely changed, moved around, and switched to where you can't do it again.
Exactly. And, and I got to say, we're really excited about being there that time. I can't divulge too much of what we did or what happened there, because now we have our own TV show now, and God bless it, we were blessed with this opportunity so we can show the truth and show real locations and people that are actually for real and have real active locations, and not people. There's some places out there that want to have an active location and don't have solid proof behind it or documentation. But places like Old South Pittsburgh Hospital and quite a few others, we were honored and lucky to have Cindy and Doug let us film our 3rd episode there. And the things that we captured there is going to blow you guys off. You guys are going to be amazed. It's shocked Pat and I. Rick, one of our newer crew members who came along for the first time, he's a big skeptic, but he's also very open-minded skeptic. I mean, he's very scientific, and he wants to get to the root, tooth and nail of everything. And he left there saying, "I got to go back. That place is amazing." And and I don't call any place. I will never call a place haunted. I just, because we don't know what's haunting it. And I don't mean to ramble on, but that place is definitely active, and it's active with so much stuff to learn. You be amazed. And anybody who hasn't been there, go there and really have respect for the location and do experiments and try to bring more solid proof of more collective data that we can all use. Sorry, I rambled on.
That's okay. No, and like the hospital, every time you go there, they've cleaned out a new area. We've got a new section we haven't been able to get into. Like they said, in 6 months, we'll finally be able to get on that ground floor in the lobby.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I went in that section so bad I can taste it.
Yeah, me too. And one of my crew members, both, Jake and Pat are here in the chat with everybody. Even Pat, he said it perfect. Excellent research facility.
Absolutely.
Excellent research facility.
And that's something a lot of people need to like I said, there's 2 groups of research of people involved in the paranormal, but there's also basically 2 different kinds of places.
Yeah.
There's a very, 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 very few places like South Pittsburgh, and there'll never be anything exactly like South Pittsburgh.
Mm-mm.
But there are a few locations that are I'm not going to say dedicated to research, but they're not manipulated a lot. So they do provide an excellent place for people to go because it's regional. Let's just be honest, it's regional. People that are close go there more often than people that have to drive 17 hours to get there.
Well, and it's reasonable too because a lot of the bigger name places charge an absolute fortune for minimal hours, and this place, they're charging you hardly nothing for entire weekends.
Right, and that was going to be my next point. And then you have the other half that is
commercialized,
$500 an hour, and you have to have at least 300 people show up. And I mean, come on, it's not that big a deal. It's been overplayed. It's been redone. People have already posted all over the internet that you have speakers and wires and stuff run. I mean, come on now.
Right. And I think what's good about Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is that Doug and Cindy have gone that extra mile, and it's wired for one good reason. Wired with IR cameras so everybody can witness what's going on. And microphones, these dynamic microphones that pick up a recorded audio constantly. And that's it. There's no hocus pocus about this place. It's just, that's it. Yep. And I've come across a few places that have been about hocus pocus, and it's disheartening. It really is.
Yeah. But
I love it.
Yes, they're incredible, and kudos to them. There's not enough people like them out there.
Amen.
And looks like we just got joined in the chat room by Mr. Tommy Golden. Welcome, Tommy.
Golden, one man, one desire.
We miss you, Tommy.
I have to ask you, Chris, why did you never do movie intros, man?
I don't know, man. I probably could pull it off pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, hey, Tommy's doing a movie. You could use. He might need some voiceover work.
Well, I have the lovely intro you did at the hospital right before New Year's when you were trying to call Doug over the PA system.
Oh, yeah. Did anybody record that?
I did. I got it on camcorder.
Nice. That's awesome.
And for a small fee, it'll never get on the internet.
That's all right. I don't care. No, but you know what? That's another thing. I just want to tell you guys, it was so awesome. I mean, meet everybody there. It was so kick-ass. Yeah. Oh, I said a bad word.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Sorry,
it was so kick-ass. It was awesome. And the vibe in that whole place with everybody, with you guys, was just rocking, man. It was so awesome. And you felt good. I didn't feel no animosity. I really had a great time. And you know what? Pat and I and Jake, we all even got tattoos while we were there. It was rocking awesome. So, and we all rang in the new year together. What a great place to ring in the new year,
Absolutely. Except you have the one guy who never smiles.
Who was that?
Which one?
The one with the blonde hair.
Is that the same
he walked around with the
does
doctor's
he wear Eli
jacket.
Manning's jerseys?
No, he's not wearing the.
You mean Rick on our team?
Yes. I was giving him trouble.
Mad Dog Rick.
I was giving him a hard time because every time I saw him, he had this dead serious look on his face, and I said, "Don't you ever smile?" And he looked at me and went, "Mm-mm," and kept on going.
That's Mad Dog. Mad Dog Rick. He's awesome, man. Gotta love him. He, that's it, Jake. Roop, roop. He showed his true colors that weekend, and God, we love him, man. He is one of the. He capped off our crew right there, man. He's a great asset for this crew, and I couldn't be happier with my crew right now. I mean, everybody's just amazing in this team.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He is fun, and I mean, later on, he did walk by me and just kind of crack a smile and walk away real quick like I wasn't supposed to see it, but...
he showed a smile.
Yes, and I'm sure it hurt, but that's okay. It was a research weekend.
Just so everybody, some of our other viewers will know, and the people that will, of course, the millions of people that will watch this in archive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But just so everybody will know, Chris, give us a little background on what got you started in the paranormal. Give us a little background on Tri-State Paranormal of Northern Kentucky. Spill it.
Well, okay,
now you put him on the spot.
Here it is. I'm just going to let it roll. I got into this field not for anybody to know who I am. I didn't give a crap less when it happened. And throughout the years, I continued my research studies through trials and errors, and I continued to press on to find certain things, to find out answers why, what happened to my family. And I just want to say something to everybody that's listening right now. Ghost hunting, that's for fun. Research, it's real. The paranormal or supernatural, it's real. What it is, we don't know. But let me tell you what, it can kill you. It can hurt you. And what I seen and what I witnessed as a child happened to my sister and my whole family. And for us to move from 2 homes, because it followed us to 2 different homes, and both of our houses burnt down, into physical attacks and almost killed my sister. That was a mission that I started from that time at a very young age. Started reading, that's a new word. Started reading, studying, taking everything I could in I was like a sponge. I was soaking everything in. And back then we had these big, massive VH camcorders, VHS beta camcorders that are like studio quality size then, whatever. And big old tape recorders. You had push play, record.
Reel to reel.
Reel to reel. So that started my mission, and I continued it out. That's where it started in Southern California. And then years later, I covered Northern California, a couple locations. I went into some parts of Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona. And then I came out here, Northern Kentucky, in 2004. And I realized how rich of a history there is out here. So much history in this area. And in Cincinnati, and bless you, whoever sneezed or coughed.
Thank you.
But Cincinnati, actually in the Newport area, Newport, Kentucky, Cincinnati was supposed to be the original Vegas, which was pushed out by the church and whatnot. And we all know where Vegas is now. But the Prohibition era in this area is amazing. Civil War, large, massive Civil War battles happened here. Shawnee Indian Territory in this area, it's just amazing. So I decided to get a group together, and then I met up with a couple people and wasn't really happy with where they're going. They thought they were ghost hunters from sci-fi, and I'm like, no, you're guys that have a job and go to work every day, so quit being ghost hunters. So I started Tri-State Paranormal. And from there on, it's been a mission. It's been an ongoing mission, and we've been blessed with quite a few opportunities. I have always said, and I always stick to it, I'll never sell out. I'll never fake anything. I will actually I'll call people out. And a lot of people don't like me for that. And it's not because I'm trying to get to win an A card for Mr. Personality, Mr. Happy, and I got so many friends. I'm trying to prove to you, look, you got to do the right thing, because if you don't, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to hurt somebody else. It's not for fame, glory, or fortune. Right. Granted, I was blessed for being a guest on 2 different shows, and then we got blessed to have our own TV show, and we were blessed because we do it the right way. We show the proof. We prove for what we think is going on. I can't say really strong proof, but we show how it's broken down, and we'll call out the fakes. And I don't have a problem calling out the fakes when I have concrete evidence that it's fake.
Right. Well, and the people that get mad shouldn't fake. I mean, perfect example, and I've heard this said about Kim and myself, because we don't put a lot of evidence out there. I played some of our evidence for you when we were at South Pittsburgh. I have anomalous data, because that's exactly what it is.
True. That
I can't explain. I know the situations it was recorded. I know the people variables involved. Okay. Now I couldn't quote you the moon phase and the solar flares and all that other stuff, but solar flares are not going to come across a voice recorder saying my name and another male team member's name.
Right.
Just can we throw that out there?
Right.
So I mean, we've got data. I haven't made a big splash about it because we've always focused especially our show on the people, much like yourself, that are involved in the paranormal. We want people to see all the aspects of what's out there. Well,
we want them to see that it's not just us. It's not just who's on TV. Right. There are real people out here doing real work.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And doing the right work, not the. Oh, did you hear that? Oh my goodness. And come up 5 minutes later after they finish doing their research. That's not how it's done.
I want to answer a question in the chat. Any details on my favorite experiment or theories? I have a couple theories or hypothesis, whatever you want to call it. You know, one of my favorite questions that I like to ask people is, what's a ghost? And you know, I'll get a common answer. Well, it's the leftover entity of a human being. You know, when he passed away, and he's not going to heaven or hell, or he or she, and they're stuck behind with unfinished business. Okay, I've heard that in movies and storybooks, but what's a ghost? And I'm not trying not to be so, because I don't even know what a ghost is. No one does. I mean, I have theories, you know, maybe the subconscious mind is still stuck and going like a hard drive of a computer, and you know, our body produces so much energy. If you study up on anatomy, you understand that, you know, our brain is firing off all these little little bolts shoving through the body, making us do this. So maybe if you're driving down the street and someone's thinking about, I can't wait to get home to see my wife and my kids, we're going to have a great time this weekend, we're going to Disneyland, and in that middle of that thought, he gets hit and killed by a semi. Maybe that subconscious and that energy of the body connects together in that still same thought and creates an entity.
That's right.
It's just a theory, no proof, it's just a theory. But then again, maybe we're dealing with something on a parallel universe. Maybe we're dealing with something with aliens. Who knows? No one knows. But as long as we continue to keep pushing forward and keep studying with these strange experiments. Jim in the chat room, I think that's Jim, Dr.
Yes.
Jim.
Dr. Jim.
Yeah, Jim. Actually, Jake has come up with a really awesome experiment. It's called the ES experiment. And it's where we actually leave the building and conduct an EVP experiment, or audio session, let me rephrase that, audio session with this equipment hooked up inside the building. And we're outside talking on a walkie-talkie, and the equipment is hooked up to the walkie-talkie on the inside with this ES speaker and this other little mic hooked up back to it, which actually you can't hear it when you're actually next to the microphone or whatever inside. But it's plugged into a voice recorder, and it can actually, we're talking, I think the theory is what Jake told me, is that what it does will take the voice from the walkie-talkie, turn it into an EMF field, and see if we can actually record something onto the voice recorder.
Nice.
And so we're out, like I said, and we have cameras placed up everywhere to watch to make sure we're outside and not someone sneaking in going, boo, boo, you know. So we're actually outside doing this. And I tell you what, it's not 100%, but I give it about a 75% effective, because we caught a couple things, and it's really interesting. And now, is it radio waves floating through the air? Who knows? On the same frequency? Who knows? But that's another thing we got to study. And infrasound has a lot to do with, you know, what we deal with. So there's so much we need to learn. And like you even said, you know, solar flares. When we was at Old South Pittsburgh, we had a laptop in our equipment room. We was watching seismic energy and solar flare activity. Mm-hmm. And we noticed that when certain things happened, you know, and everybody knows one of them really good, you know, there was spikes with solar flare activity. And the next day, Pat and I tried something during the day. There were solar flare spikes when something happened. Somewhat of a little bit closer connection of what we're dealing with, maybe, but it's a good direction to try new experiments. And I'm willing to listen to anybody who comes up with some awesome logic stuff, man, and just breaking it down, because that's, if we can all work together, man, we're going to rock this. And there's so much out there to learn.
Well, and the most important thing that I think is not happening in the paranormal right now, as far as a field goes, people won't shut up. Every now and again, if you'll shut up and listen to what's going on around you, you might be surprised what you'll learn and the connections you can make. It's the I've got to yell louder than you think that ruins us, in my
absolutely opinion. I absolutely I can't agree with you so much more, man. I really can't. You know, I was taught by somebody after 28 years of being in this field. I was taught by somebody, which is just a little simple thing. And he said at an event, he says, it's not about how many cases you have. Why do you got to have some 50 million cases on your website? It's about the research and the experiments and the dedication you're doing and what you're providing for the community to help understand the field better.
Well,
And that was, I do believe, Christopher Booth who said that.
Yeah.
And it just stuck in my head. I'm like, why do we gotta have listings of cases to show that we're better than you?
Well, and you can see that at gatherings too, though. It, like we went to Hannah House for the first time this year. Had an absolutely awesome time. People that run that Hannah House meet and greet are awesome. But I did notice one thing. It was like, it was a my K2's bigger than your K2 kind of thing, because you would walk up to somebody's table, and one people had their DVR and 4 cameras, and the next people had their DVR that was a little bit bigger, and it had 8 cameras, and then you walk to the next table, and they've got stuff on tripods, and I mean, it was like, let's take everything out and knock the dust off. But those of us that have been doing it a while weren't that impressed, or I wasn't.
The really scary part about it was the one table. They had all their equipment out. They had the T-shirts, the banners, the flyers, the trifolds, the bumper stickers, the whole 9 yards, and they were going on their first investigation that night.
So, I mean, but I will say that means paranormal is helping the economy, because we're keeping all the small business card printers, the banner people, and the T-shirt people employed and working by in the U.S.
But they had never been on an investigation, but they had all this wonderful equipment they needed to show off that day.
And passion, I trust me, I have a respect for somebody that has a lot of passion. But they also have to understand that, when you spend any amount of time around this field, and you spend time around the people involved in it, you learn very, very quickly that, once again, there's a separation. There's people that are serious about it, and there's people that are hobbyists.
Right.
There's just no other way to say it.
I agree. Well, you know what? Tommy Golden just said a good point in the chat. He says, ask them how the DVR works. Well, it's like people will hook up a DVR and they'll, go, let's hit this camera up in a hot spot. Okay, why are you putting it in a hot, what's a hot spot? Well, I mean, come on.
Right.
I got a hot spot. Where's my lighter? I got a hot spot for you. You know what I use my DVR cameras for? And mainly, well, unless we're filming for an episode, what I use my cameras for, to keep an eye on my researchers and my investigators, so I know we have something to back up when we actually capture something,
right,
and they're actually seen on the camera, that you can tell, oh no, it wasn't them, or yeah, they accidentally made that sound. That's what a DVR is for.
Yep.
Not to capture anomaly. We'll have a camera in a closet for 20 hours. Hopefully something will pop out.
With the silly question you asked, we were talking to the people who run Ohio State Reformatory, and they said that one of the questions, well, they got asked 2 really interesting questions that weekend. One was how many bricks the building had, and the second was what part of it was haunted.
Say that again.
She said they asked what part of the reformatory was haunted, and she said, I really wanted to, with a straight face, look at them and say the left side, the west side, but only on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Right by the toilet.
Right.
Exactly.
And,
but see,
and the other question was how many bricks. I mean,
but that's
really?
the kind of mentality that we're dealing with. And
God bless these people.
No, and it's like I said, passion. I understand the passion, and I understand that you're new, and everybody has to start somewhere.
Well, I also understand wanting to know the history of the building, but exactly how many bricks it took to build it, I really don't see being of any importance.
Well, I mean,
unless you're a bricklayer,
unless
and
you're a numerologist, and if you're
right.
a numerologist, then if you knew the exact number of bricks, you could tell right away whether someplace was evil or not.
Yeah. You hear I think it's awesome that you got a lot of people that are jumping out there and trying to find something, and and I hope to God most of them are for the right thing. But in the past 6-7 years, and I don't mean this in disrespect to anybody, because I love anybody that's in this field, one way or another. Well, most. Let me put it that way. Most. I take that back, sorry. But I've been seeing a lot of people jumping on coattails, want to be a quick star. It's not. If you're lucky, it happens. I was lucky. That's all I can say. I was lucky.
But you have to be in that lucky 2%. It's not like 98% of us have shows and, SUVs.
Yeah.
My SUV's small.
Mine's a pickup truck.
Ooh, never mind. It's a bad idea.
It's not how big your SUV is, Chris. It's what you can do with it.
And as long as it doesn't shatter in the cold.
But that is true. And I didn't want to turn this into a let's rant on folks thing. But I mean, it's something that needs to be said. It's something that needs to be said and needs to keep being said, because there's an entire group of us that are very serious. And Tommy will, if he's still there in the chat room, I think he is.
Tommy's there.
Tommy will agree with this. We had last year, things were a little different for us financially. The economy hadn't kicked me in the nuts yet.
Oh yeah, it was, man.
But we did an invitational
at the hospital,
at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and the reason why we did an invitational and not an open to the public event is we weren't trying. Kim and myself were not trying. Kim and I were not trying to make a buck doing this. But the people that we invited were the people that at that time that we knew, that like Tommy, Tim Rankhorn,
Jim,
Dr. Jim. There's a whole list of people that were invited to that, and they were invited because when they do go to an event or they do go where there's a large group of people, they're sheep herders. And I don't mean that in any disrespect, but that's exactly what they end up doing.
You have people going, oh, I want to go with him, I want to go with him, I know that name.
Or they're, how does that work? So, I mean, we wanted to have a weekend where those guys that were, and you can say that they're para-celebrities. I mean, Tommy's done several appearances. Tim's done several appearances. Tim has his own show. I mean, there's a lot of labels you could put on these people. But we knew that they had been a while since they'd got a chance to go to a great location like South Pittsburgh and actually do what,
they
lights their fire. What got them started is they got to recharge their batteries with it
with a group of people, but not having to deal with a group of people.
Right. They didn't have to explain. The people that were there when they started doing something and people came to observe or join in, they already knew what was going on. They didn't have to explain, well, I'm doing this, so this, and this will happen. They already knew that.
Well, that's like you, New Year's Eve. Everybody's like, well, Chris is upstairs. You guys want to go up there? It's like, no, he's doing his. We'll go this way. Let him do his experiment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like, I was there when they saw the first great ghost in the hallway. I mean, come on, folks.
Jake said something earlier, man. That's what's a good thing about our country, man. We have the chance to, some people go out and ghost out for fun. Like people like to go ride roller coasters for fun. And I don't mean to discredit anybody like that. If they want to go out and ghost out just for fun, go for it. Have a blast. But be careful. Please be careful.
Yes.
Know your surroundings. And,
check the train schedule before you cross the bridge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I actually lost somebody died last year.
Yes.
In North Carolina.
In North Carolina.
Trying to hunt a haunted trestle. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I said, I'm not an expert. I'll never claim to be an expert because I don't know any experts. The only para expert I know that I can honestly say is an expert is a paramedic.
Right.
That's it. Bing. But it's just I just do what I do, and I try to help people, and I'm still on that same mission I was when I was a kid, when I actually watched my sister almost get killed by an unknown entity. I'm still on that same mission, and I just got a great crew. I got Pat, I got Jake, and I got Rick. And it's amazing. And thank God, Pat's a great audio specialist. Jake, he's amazing when it comes to building equipment or designing new things. And with the camera, I'm a photographer and a videographer. Rick, he researches equipment. And some of this equipment we'll test it before we ever use it in the field and see if it's even worthy taken out in the field to use.
Right.
And what it's going to benefit. So I'm blessed. And now we're blessed with our own TV show on, it's called Roku. It's a box you buy either at Walmart or Best Buy, and I'm doing a plug. Is that okay?
Yes.
Plug away.
Plug away. Pretend you're on the Titanic.
It's on Roku, and it's called the Paranormal Channel, Reality TV Channel, and our show is The Search Existence Unknown, and we're real. We even dismiss all of our stuff. Our first episode, we dismissed so much of our own stuff that we took in 3 or 4 different voice recorders in on the same audio piece, and one voice recorder sounded like it was saying "I'm here" or something like that. And then as you listen to all the other voice recorders, you could tell it was just the floor creaking. And it's amazing, different voice recorders on different hertz levels will make different sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
So we even shown how we dismissed our own stuff. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying study, understand the equipment, do testing on the equipment before you take it out in the field. And, you know, understand the boundaries. Exactly, Jim. Exactly. So,
You know, and that's something that's that's the thing is it's taking groups like yourself and your guys there at Tri-State Paranormal. It's taking groups like yourself to test equipment, build equipment, try things, instead of waiting for somebody to come through the big flashy shiny box driving an SUV and tell you, hey, this is how we did this. You know, a lot of people, why do they use thermal cameras? That's a good question. A lot of people think that end of the frequency range is the totally absolute wrong end. So I mean, you have to put your hands on it, or at least wrap your brain around it.
right.
You know,
If you don't know what it does, don't play with it.
Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it enough.
Right. And you know, there's a new thing that we're going to start working on, and I'm actually trying to figure this out, where we can actually record on video air moving, mass air moving. Like if you breathe, you can see the formation of your breath coming out of the mouth, or if something moves across the room. It has to do with heat and cold fluctuations in the air that we physically can't see, but the camera can. And you can experiment. Anybody can experiment with this at home. You can take a candle in front of a mirror with another backlit paper or something like that, with a flashlight, and you'll actually see that. You know, it's almost like what's that called when you look out in the desert and
Mirage.
Mirage. It's almost that same effect. It's a mirage, but it's actually the air mass moving, and that mirage is actually the mixture of cold and hot air connecting together and creating those crazy little, you know, predator-looking images. You know, the waves. So you can actually do a controlled way of doing that in a room and watch it through mirrors and different lighting techniques, and you can actually see the air mass moving in different heat temperatures and signatures. So still working on trying to develop that, but once it happens, I'd be so happy to share it with everybody, man, and see if we can all record something.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. Like you'd mentioned, you have a very personal motivation. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. My motivation for my involvement in what I do and what I try to do, other than her, I want to talk to my mother. I'm an only child. I was born an only child. I miss my mother. She passed away 15 years ago or so. I want to communicate with her. I miss her guidance. But a lot of people don't seem to understand that while we have very personal motivations, when we do it, not an if, when we do it, when we do and are able to establish communication,
Right.
think of the implications that has to the planet. I don't want to get all esoteric, but great world leaders could, you know, call up Abraham Lincoln or Gandhi or Genghis Khan or whoever they would need to talk to. When there's problems, they would be able to go to people or entities that have so much more experience than they do.
Right.
And we would be able to solve problems then and there without bloodshed, without people dying.
I would like to meet Gandhi and just ask him why. I love food, dude. Why? Why'd you do that? That's all I wanted to ask him.
Yeah.
Why? I starve. Yep, exactly. Dr. Jen, he's got it. Schillerian Photography. You got it, brother. Thank you. I was brain blocked on the name. Sorry about that.
It's okay, it happens. Okay, you can get out of the corner.
Okay, cool. Good, thank you. But I mean, you know, again, I would love. There's so many, and I respect what you want, man. You like to talk to your mom, and I think that's awesome if we could actually figure a way to communicate with these entities, and hopefully it's the people that we're dealing with, and like Gandhi or Buddha or whoever, you know, it's just great leaders that had these brilliant minds that changed the course of our history.
Right.
Would love to sit down and talk to them.
Right. Well, you know, and then the old saying goes, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right. Absolutely.
We would just be able to take that to the next level.
Well, and my reason for getting into it is kind of stereotypical.
Yeah.
I just want to prove my mother wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I saw
Oh, yeah?
I saw my first full body when I was 8 years old. I described her perfectly. I knew exactly who she was, and I told my mom I saw Margaret Duncan walking down to her house. She had passed away 2 weeks before. It was the lady who lived next door. And I got the stereotypical, you're dreaming, go back to bed.
Well, you know what? You want me to call your mom up and say, hey, check it out. She knows what she's talking about.
Well, you'll have to do that once we get the phone line to the other side. She's been gone 30 years. Still doesn't mean I don't want to prove her wrong.
Mouth and serve foot. I will do that. Thank you.
But
I still want to prove her wrong. I don't. Just because she's gone doesn't mean that she wins.
But, you know, speaking along these lines, and you'd mentioned this before, that you're blessed with the team that you have now. Maybe talk about that for a second, Chris, about how important, especially for, let's say, we do have a lot of, I don't want to say newbies, but a lot of newer investigators that do come and watch our show. Explain to them the importance of having a good group dynamic when you do go into one of these places. 'Cause like you said, you can go get involved in this and you can get yourself hurt.
Well, for one, we watch out for each other. The chemistry, man, and you know, when we're at a location, like Jake, he will read up on this, or Pat will read up on this, and we'll study, and we'll actually observe and watch out for each other, and like if we're in a bad area, you know, we'll keep an eye on each other's backs, and just, it's like a brotherhood that I've always wanted, and I have a great brotherhood with us four. I mean, there's only 4 of us in this team now, and I couldn't be happier. I don't need 12 people in a crew. I 4, I'm good. And we're watching each other's backs, and the chemistry between us is amazing. Of course, we fight like brothers, or we make fun of each other, or fart on each other, or burp on each other. But you know, that's love. We got a lot of love for each other. You know it, Pat. You know it. Jake farts a lot. So.
It's a boy thing.
Sorry, Jake. I had to say that. I love you, brother. But you know, Jake, he does one part of the crew. He handles, you know, he does the web designs and builds these amazing pieces of equipment for our cameras, and he's a great camera person. And then Pat, he's amazing when it comes to audio. He'll tear things apart and rip it apart, and he'll do some research on backgrounds and new locations, and then Rick, he'll study on equipment, you know. And it's so much easier when you got somebody to help you do that instead of yourself. You can do it by yourself, but it's just it's easier when you got a tight knit group, and we got nothing to hide from each other. We love each other. We love each other like brothers.
Speaking of by yourself, I've had several people hit me on Facebook chat or whatever, talking about their groups or starting a group, and yeah, the problem is most of them at some point in time will say, yeah, when no one else wants to go, I go by myself.
Bad move.
That's so dangerous, because you can get in a place, what if you fall and break your leg or get cut and you're bleeding and you have no one there to back you up, to help you? Or call the paramedics. I mean, or you get attacked by a dog and there's no one there to help you. It's so
Or
dangerous,
a snake bite. I mean, anything.
Well, I mean, going during daylight hours, going to a cemetery by yourself, maybe not so dangerous. Going to an abandoned building, dilapidated
Well, that's
building.
what I'm saying. Most of them are talking about going into either vacant buildings or, you know, dilapidated buildings. Nobody would go with me, so I went by myself.
And get permission before you go, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't want to get arrested for trespassing either.
But to me, I can see absolutely no reason in going into a dilapidated building by yourself. The floor could give it any second. Halfway up the steps, you're falling into the basement, breaking both legs. You're laying there for how many weeks?
Well, Chris, you met me at Old South Pittsburgh. I'm a very svelte guy. I'm a very just a teeny weeny kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, tiny.
Tiny, just itty bitty. I have to be very, very careful. Seriously, in structures, I have to be careful. Because if it's even slightly rotted, even slightly down, I'll go through. And it's not a matter of, well, maybe I will. No, I'll go through. I break plastic chairs. So a 90-year-old staircase, you know.
Right.
It's people just need to, and like we try to do here at PEN, we try to make people think. Like up on the top of the website, this is where we ask you to ponder this. That's why we just want people to think before they act, or think before they speak. Heaven forbid that happen.
Yeah, because trying to be the next superstar is not worth your life.
It's not gonna happen. Yeah, and it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I was looking at the Remington Arms Factory up in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out that the floors are so bad, you need a guided tour to go through there, or else you will fall to your death.
Yeah.
And just decided, no, I'm good. I don't want none of my team to get cut. I don't want to get cut. I don't want no one to get hurt. It's not worth it. We have to buy our own insurance policy to even step on the grounds because it's so bad. No, I'm good.
That's like the McPike Mansion over in Alton, Illinois. They'll let you take in cameras, but you have to have a guided tour. They have to take you up. Only 2 people allowed. You put down your cameras, and then you get out, and then you just record all night. The only place you're allowed is on the outside grounds or the basement.
Yep.
Yeah, see, and it's not worth it, man. I mean, you know, and that's another thing. I want to say something real quick. I know it's coming towards the end here.
No, we run the network. We can go as long as we want to.
Okay. A lot of people think if it's creepy and old and dilapidated, it's haunted. No. The house that almost killed my sister was a brand new home in a track home in sunny Southern California. So just because it's creepy and dilapidated doesn't mean it's haunted. It's great for photography if you're a photographer, because I love looking at old buildings like that and taking awesome pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's creepy and old, it's not active and it's not haunted. You know, and that's a lot of things that Hollywood has played into our minds. That if it's creepy, it's old, it's scary looking, it's haunted.
Right. And what they're not paying attention to is the brand new house on the corner could be more haunted simply because of the ground, the property itself, not necessarily the house.
And if you believe everything Hollywood did, I got one word for you. Go watch Poltergeist. That wasn't an old, dilapidated house that the family moved into.
As a matter of fact, you know, it's kind of funny you say that. That's what our house kind of looked like in the movie Poltergeist.
I've lived in houses that had shed carpet, so I can't really talk about that.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's what our house almost looked like. And now you say that, and it's like going, oh, wow, that's a trip.
Anywhere near Norwalk?
No, it was Fountain Valley, California.
Ah, okay.
Well, you know, and that's something else, too, is, and I don't personally know your feelings about the metaphysical side of what we do. I will say this, I think it's going to take teamwork between a scientific side and a metaphysical side, simply because the metaphysical side has been around for thousands of years of our civilization. There has got to be some credence to that. If it didn't make any sense or nobody could explain it, it would have died off thousands of years ago.
Right, and I respect that. You know, the metaphysics of it all, it's you know, some call it pseudoscience or whatnot. It's a good study, and it's a good thing to learn. And I respect it. Nothing against you guys. I love you guys. It's just we don't go in that direction, but we don't discount it either.
Well,
you know,
what I was going to say is not only is it going to take teamwork between the metaphysical side and a scientific side,
right?
It's also going to take both sides being able to give to each other. It's going to take people on the metaphysical side. They're going to go. They want to know why they know what they know. Right. There's going to take people on the scientific side that want to know how that person knows what they know. Perfect example. We had a roundtable discussion last month with David Roundtree. He made some
Roundtree's awesome.
He made some very interesting statements. There's some research going on right now with parapsychology at different locations that's about that close to proving psiability. There's some very strong psychics out there right now that are very talented and very gifted and very connected, and they're fixing to be about that close to being able to prove that, yep, that's a scientific ability, because this part of their hypothalamus is actually more sensitive, and they sense this range, they sense this range of wavelengths, yada yada yada. But what's going to happen, and as much as I hate to say this, is we're going to, because I know how the human race is, we're going to spend the next 2 or 3 years after that with people going and getting tested. They're going to say that they are actually psychic, and then they're going to go, nanny nanny boo boo, I told you so.
Well, and as you saw from the opening, our intro, I'm a dowser.
Right.
It's never evidence.
Right.
My thing is, I use the dowsing rods to find locations to put voice recorders. And about 80% of the time, I don't do it all the time. I didn't do it at the hospital. But I do tend to get EVP from the locations there. It's not something I do in front of clients, like in a residence.
Right.
Right.
But it's something I do, and I do well.
But
I
statistically,
ain't gonna lie, I have my own pair of dowsing rods too. They're just downstairs collecting dust.
statistically, though, I do want to throw this out there. Statistically, where she's told us to place equipment, we have had more luck collecting static evidence where she said putting them, as opposed to just a random location somewhere in the house.
Right.
Now, whether that speaks to power of intention, there's 9 million things you could talk about. I'm just saying it's worked for us, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, man, if it totally works for you, that's awesome.
Right.
I mean, there's certain things that work for other people and certain things that don't. And I think that's cool. It works for you. That's just totally awesome. And, like I said, I have my own pair of dowsing rods. I've had them. I experimented with them. And, yeah, I was shocked by them. I was blown away. And dowsing rods been around since the dawn of man. They used to use it to find water underground and stuff like that, so they can drink and stuff like that. And so, they're an amazing piece of tool. And
but that's all it is. It's not evidence. It's simply a tool.
Yeah. It's funny. Someone asked me one time, what's my favorite tool to use in the paranormal field? And I said, well, a library card. That's it.
Eric's is a pencil.
Pencil's good, too. I like
This,
pencils.
and this is number 2.
Ooh,
Because you put these 2 together, and it's a force that can change the world.
You know what? And it's a very good force. It's more solid data, evidence, than guessing.
Yeah, see, that's something else that'll run off a lot of hobbyists when you start telling them that there's work. That you got to keep a notebook, and you got to keep track of details.
And you have to go through 900 hours of audio and...
Well, it's funny. That's another thing we're going to explain with our show, that we're going to tell people, look, most of the work is not holding a voice recorder and going, is anybody out there? It's, will you come talk to me? That's not the hard part. The hard part is the countless, ungodly hours of studying the research, the property, taking soil samples if you have to, understanding the geometrics and everything that has to do with the land that the building or location is at. And then, like you said, the paperwork, following up with all the paperwork and your notes, and then following up afterwards and going through everything with the data you collected earlier.
Right.
That's the hard work. The investigation part, that's easy.
That's easy.
That's the fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easy part. It's the work before and after. There's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't all happen in an hour series.
Yeah. And you're not going to go through it in 5 minutes.
Nope. No. Hey, Pat. You're working on Old South Pittsburgh, and you've been working on Old South Pittsburgh pretty much since we got back, right? And that was New Year's?
27 days ago.
Well, we was just finishing up. I just finished up editing our second episode. Well, the first half of it, Morrison Lodge, which is another amazing location down in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And that took countless hours. And we were going over that audio and video before that, and just going over and over and over again and tearing it apart. And now he's just started on Old South Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's not all it appears.
He's got about 25 more hours to go.
Well, and like you'll agree, you know, Pat, he's putting so much work and effort into it. He doesn't even care what he's wearing.
Whoa! There you go, down with the Giants again. His serious jersey.
Yeah, seriously wrong.
Well,
Sorry, Pat.
I'm sorry, Pat. That was too easy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom.
Well, Chris, if you could let everybody know where you can be found. I did
If you wanna
misspell it
be
on the
found.
graphic for everybody. It's not Roku TV. It's just ROKU. There should be no TV. Just can't pull that graphic up and change it real quick.
Yeah, it's Roku. It's a box you can buy at Best Buy or Walmart or Target or Radio Shack. You plug it into your TV and your internet, and right there, our brother Jake put it in there. It's Paranormal Reality TV. That'll give you the link. It's right there in the chat. And the name of our TV show is The Search, Existence Unknown. And we're also looking for locations for next episodes. And another thing that we do with our TV show, we actually talk to you as the viewer during the show, ask for your eyes to be our other eyes when we're actually doing an investigation. If you see something that we don't see, you can email us or Twitter us or whatever. And we're also looking for locations. And we will bring other teams onto our show because it's not just about us. It's about everybody and different talents they have in different locations and experiences. And we bring it together in each episode. So I want to take the opportunity with this show, and when we got it, the opportunity was given to us, say, hey, why not bring people we know involved with this?
Pick me.
Right.
Got you.
And like I'm throwing out the graphic right now, they can also keep track of you at tspnorthernkentucky.com.
Yeah, and actually Jake is working on he's actually updating our website, and man, he is doing such an amazing, phenomenal job. That is just I love Jake, man. Jake, you do a great job, brother. I love you.
Good job, Jake.
But yeah, actually, Barbara, that's the way it is, man. We want to bring other teams onto our TV show. We want to show your experiences. We want to show what you've done and what you've collected. And you know, it's not just about us. We were blessed to share it with you guys. And,
right.
You know,
with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. And if you're going to do stuff with the public, like you're saying, but when you do stuff with the public like this and you put yourself out there, you have to be able to hold yourself to that certain level of integrity. You know what I mean? That's the other big problem we got going on right now. Is there's just nobody cares.
Right.
I mean, it's not like the ghost police are going to show up, you know, with a warrant for your arrest.
You know, this reminds me of something you said. Somebody goes, "You're a ghost hunter." I go, "Really? I don't go to Walmart every year and buy my ghost hunting license."
Right. That would be just a crappy bunch of wooden plaques on the wall because there'd be no head to stick out. You know what I mean?
But if you are interested, there's a team over in Australia who's been posting on my Facebook that they will give you a certification for $450.
And it'll even have it even has fancy little golden stuff around the edge.
Yes.
So you can go on eBay and get it for $25.
Yeah, but this is from Australia, so it's international.
I can go buy gilded paper and make it myself, and it'll be damn near free.
There you go. That's great.
And mean about as much.
You know, that's another thing, man. You know, the people that have taken advantage of this field, it's sad, man. What goes around comes around. You know, and I've been blasted for a lot of things that I say and do, and personally, I don't care. I have respect for everybody, and I hope the same back to me and my crew. We're just here to help, and we're trying to learn just like everybody else. It doesn't matter how long I've been in this field or anybody else. We're just learning, and we're trying to rock it. We're trying to enjoy it and have a good time and share experiences and share techniques and experiments, and that's what it's all about. It's not about me, me, me. It's all about us, us, us.
Right. It's a community.
Well, speaking of us, again, do you want to send out prayers?
Yeah.
Absolutely. send some prayers out to Dawn Shy and her family. God bless you. May your wings spread wide in the heavens. Carl Lawson, have a good time up there in heaven, brother.
Aaron Houdini and Sid Schultz, please send them healing thoughts, prayers, and wishes. We need these guys back on their feet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah. And this is trust me, after what I went through last year, it's very humbling to have people help you that way.
Yeah.
Although, let me just throw this out to the universe. I get it already. I got it.
Well, with Aaron, we got to get him on his feet. He's got a baby due in 2 months.
That's right.
Yeah, he's be a daddy.
So,
be a daddy. That's awesome.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Can you stick around for just a second?
Yeah, and thank you for having me on, man.
Our pleasure.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Anytime.
I'm thinking about once every 2 months, y'all need to come on, do a TSP update.
Heck yeah, we'll come on. We'll get Jake in here. We'll get Pat and Rick. We'll all come in here and just cause a whole bunch of havoc.
But do I get to pick out the wardrobe?
I'm just going to throw that out and say no. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Everybody in Rams jerseys. No, I'm kidding.
Oh goodness! All right, guys. Well, let me go through our lineup real quick. Tomorrow night, Science Saturdays, I am going to be showing a lecture that talks about the. Hold on, just a second. The power of suggestion, which in this field actually means a lot when you start talking about people saying, "Well, what do you hear? Don't you hear this?" Trust me, that makes a whole lot of sense when you start thinking about it. Haven't quite decided what we're going to do for Sunday Night Enlightenment yet, but we will have something up there, something very brightening and enlightening to end your week with.
I would say EVPs.
Okay.
This is God talking.
And then Monday night, and dadgummit, I forgot to put a graphic up there because all I've got is her commercial and I don't want to play it. But Monday night we will have Everyday Impasse and CC the Huntress.
Monday night's ladies' night, or as Jim calls it, hotties' night.
Yeah, it's hotties night.
Giggity.
Tuesday night, Paranormal Head Rush with Denise Gowan Kruger. Wednesday night is Serial Killer Night.
Yep, and this Wednesday night we will also should have another video from Eddie Parks and them with Tri-State Shadow Chasers, not Paranormal, but
yes.
Tri-State Shadow Chasers.
Thursday night.
Right after that, we'll have the serial killer documentary, and then Thursday night,
Johnny and Teresa with Ghosts and Stuff.
And
next Friday night, PEMA TV with our tentative guest, Chris Conlon.
Yep, from Contact, where those guys are coming back. We just played a little something for Bill. A whole gang from Contact's coming back, and they've got some killer stuff, man. Once again, thanks to Chris for being with us, and we got to check, guys.
And Jake in the background.
Go Giants. I do want the Giants to win. I got to throw that out there. Pat.
That's all right.
Sorry, Pat.
Jake,
Go
I'm
Giants.
changing your name to Pat. Well, if I can't see him, I don't know which one it is.
All right. Well, we're out of here, guys. You guys have a safe week.
Bye, guys.